You finished the first draft. First things first. Good job. It's hard work finishing a draft. But you've left it alone for a while, like you're supposed to, and now you want to round it into shape. You want to revise it and turn it into a proper book. Well, that's why I'm here. Let's start revisions. I break the revisions process down into 4 chunks. Number 1, macro revisions, first pass. 2, feedback. Number 3, macro revisions, second pass. And finally, number 4, micro revisions. Let's start with number 1, macro revisions, first pass. I call them macro revisions because they're big picture. They have to do with character, plot, structure, tone, theme. I leave grammar and word usage and sentence structure until the end. First things first. Read your book. Front to back. Don't skim, don't skip parts. Read the whole thing without distraction. This is important, and part of the reason why you stepped away from it for a couple months. You worked really hard on that first draft. You were nose deep in it for a while. A few months away from it gives you more objectivity. You will have forgotten writing some of it, maybe even all of it, and that's good. Reading through it, the best case scenario is treating it like a book someone else wrote. And even if I remember writing some or all of my book, I try to keep that mindset through the entire revisions process. I'll get back to that later. So, read through the book, but don't try and fix anything, not yet. It can be very tempting to start moving things around or fix grammar or spelling errors or what have you. Well, it'll take a lot of time, and you can easily get bogged down. For now, you're reading, taking notes. Take notes on big issues, macro scale, character arcs, if a certain chapter fits tonally, if your theme is evident enough or too evident, etc. You're not worrying about word choice here or fine-tuning dialogue. You want the big puzzle pieces to fit together. This is also the hardest place to give advice, because without reading your draft, it's almost impossible to make it specific for your story. But ultimately, trust your instincts. Write down if your protagonist's arc doesn't quite connect. If some of your chapters become a little outlandish, they don't feel tonally at home with the rest of your novel. If the story is underdone, or if a chapter doesn't seem to belong. Note anything that stands out, positive or negative. Now, read it again, looking out for those things specifically. If you're worried about your main character, focus on their actions. If you're worried about tone, pay close attention to it. And it's at this point you might say, I have to read it again? Yes. You're going to have to read it many, many times. More times than you've read anything, probably ever. That number is not set in stone, and the true answer is as many times as it takes. With these passes, you're attempting to figure out if something is a problem or not. Does it need fixing or not? To me, there's 3 possible categories here. 1, not a problem. Fundamentally works. Maybe needs some tweaking in the final revisions, but nothing that needs work right now. Number 2, maybe a problem? These are things I'm not sure of, but I don't forget about them. I write them down and make sure to ask my beta readers about them. These become questions in the next step. Finally, the 3rd category. Definitely a problem. These need to be fixed regardless. And that's the next step. Fix everything in category 3. I can't give you specific advice because it all depends on your draft, but anything I consider a category 3, I do the work now. I patch up plot holes, I fill out characters, I fix continuity errors. In some cases, I had whole swaths of plot because the story needed it. Try and stay objective here. Revisions are hard, not only because it's incredibly mentally taxing, but because you're looking at yourself, spread out on a table in front of you, bare, with flaws, plain to see. It's very, very easy to beat yourself up, to hurt yourself with all the mistakes you made, with all this bad writing you did. First, as practical advice, try and stay at a remove through the whole revisions process. I'm the editor, so to speak, not the writer anymore. Maybe the writer me really liked this character and thought they were fun, but editor me thinks they're superfluous and they need to go. So they go. Don't beat yourself up. You worked hard to get this far, and you should give yourself a pat on the back for even making it here. You're actively working on improving your work. It doesn't make you a bad writer. It doesn't make you a bad person. It makes you human. The step might take a while. Hopefully not longer than the initial draft, but it might, depending on how complete your first draft was. My best advice is to follow your own lead and follow your instincts. Be more measured than your first draft. It's okay if you go slower here. It's not a mad dash to the finish. Calculate and execute, one piece at a time. Address the holes in your story and fix them to the best of your ability. Okay, it's however longer later, and you fixed everything in Category 3 to the best of your ability. Now it's time to bring in other people. Yes, it's time for beta readers. And I've come to realize that this video is already this long, and what I'll say about beta readers might take even longer. Because if it's your first time getting feedback from other people, it can be scary. So I think I'll be breaking that out into its own video coming next week. I'm Robbie Dorman. If you liked this video, give it a thumbs up. If you really liked it, click subscribe. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be seeing you.